Member for Jagga.
Mr Speaker, I support the honourable member for Cowan's motion and would like to join him in acknowledging the unprecedented number of women members in the parliament, and I'd like to add my congratulations along with the member for Fremantle's to every new woman member in this place. As a woman and a mother of young children, I think I've got some idea of the efforts that have been necessary by all the female members of parliament to actually achieve office in a marginal seat as well. However, Mr Speaker, mere presence in larger than normal numbers in this chamber is not enough. This government has clearly demonstrated already that it's embarked upon a course of action whose outcomes will fundamentally erode the quality of the lives of women in Australia. During the terms of previous Labor governments, policies were implemented in many areas that made things better for women. Labor's subsidised childcare policies recognise that many women, now the vast majority of women, wish to continue with careers or as family breadwinners, and enabled large numbers of women to rejoin the workforce with considerable childcare support. Labor's industrial relations policies have also made fundamental differences to women's lives. People in Australia now expect that women carrying out the same work as men would be paid an equal wage, something that I'm sure that would be supported certainly on this side of the chamber. Most people would also expect that anyone in a workplace would get a fair go. This is an attitude that has grown largely as a result of the work of the Industrial Relations Commission. But now this government proposes to weaken the powers of the Commission. Not only will this seriously threaten the conditions already won for women workers, but it will also make it nearly impossible to reach a position of full equality. Because much more needs to be done. Women still only earn half the over-award wage payments of men. Half. The tendency will be exacerbated where the discretion is left to the employer. Labor gave the Commission power to address this issue of over-award payments. It also planned to look at the value of women's traditional skills through the equal remuneration provisions which drew on the ILO Convention regarding equal pay. That too is about to go out the door. One of the traditional areas of work for women has of course been in the role of carer. Labor's policies towards the elderly and disabled recognise that women traditionally have played and taken the role of carer, and we provided considerable support for women in those roles. The number of people, mostly women, employed in these important areas has grown enormously over the last 10 years. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, now we find that most of these gains for women are at risk. What will be the effect on the working conditions of women in childcare centres and homes for the aged of the removal of the role of the Commission in dispute settling? I think that's something that those opposite should think about. They'll have nowhere to go. Women will be caught and exploited by their desire to provide care. What will be the effect on family life of this government's proposed changes to the nature of part-time work? Working hours will be changeable at the whim of the employer, and thus quite unpredictable. When hours are lengthened, and don't think it's a joke, this is what will happen, particularly in the retail sector, the finance sector. When hours are lengthened, employees will experience difficulties facing each and every woman who has children. They'll find difficulties finding care for their children. When their hours are reduced, they'll generally still be liable for the costs associated with longer periods of childcare. These changes for the worse will come not only as a result of the weakening of the Industrial Relations Commission, but also because this government has flagged its intention to abdicate its responsibilities in many other areas that affect women's lives. Care for the aged, other service provisions are to be handed back to the dubious attentions of the states, as is responsibility for regulation and supervision. So it's not good enough just to say that we should have more women in this place. It's terribly important that we, as women, know that it's us that's going to be left with the pieces as we see the disintegration of the industrial relations system as these important areas of care are handed back to the states. It will be women as mothers, sisters, daughters, relatives, unpaid community workers that take up these very difficult roles in our community. I don't think that's good enough.
Order. The honourable member's time has expired.